In general, I would say that it means a lot to win tonight. I think we got a little bit of tiredness. We had a busy August month, and unfortunately we could not win this final against Columbus. It was not easy, to get back into the routine of the MLS league, and I think this team showed tonight a character, personality. When you are ready to face difficulties, when you are ready to step up, for the big moment like tonight, it means a lot. So now it's the moment to enjoy.
We are competitors and we are here to bring our hungriness to win trophies. So yeah, even if we're getting a bit old, but we still have that energy, to bring to the team. And that's the most important.
We are here to bring this leadership, to bring this experience. I think it's a combination of players, of personality, and at the end, again, I repeat, this trophy is really important because tonight, if you don't win, it will be another story. So we are glad we made it together as a team, as a club, and now we can enjoy and prepare the rest of the season.
All right, Herc, so LAFC snap a 4-final losing streak here with this victory, aside from the offside on the first goal.
We don't know it's offsides.
You know what we do know, though? Giroud is way offside. And even though the ball resets him, he gets a massive advantage from being in an offside position.
Well, that's not the rule.
I know, but you
I'm
shouldn't get an advantage.
I'm going to talk about this later, I'm sure, about, don't complain about the rules when they're the rules. After the fact that your team is jeopardized by the rules.
I don't know what you're getting at. I think you're talking about maybe Peter Vermees. But let's focus on the game itself here. LAFC deserving winners?
I think so. Honestly, it's a pretty even game. And throughout lapses of this game, I'm thinking to myself, it's going to happen again to LAFC, isn't it? Kansas City's making it difficult. They're making it very difficult. You're not putting this team away. You leave them hanging around.
And you let them right back into the game, right? You score, and 5-10 minutes later, it's 1-1.
But that didn't happen. And to their credit, because it would have been very easy to see the same story happen to LAFC again, to open the paper, to open Twitter the next day or that night and be like, oh, LAFC lost another final because of where they were at. Morally demoralized. They weren't in the best of spirits, and you look at them losing against Columbus in the Leagues Cup final. They were 1 win out of their last 7 games. Only scored 5 goals for one of the most prolific attacks that you can have in Major League Soccer, if not the most prolific. And that's who they were. So it would have been very easy for Kansas City to come here and steal one, if you will. But you have to give credit to LAFC. You've got to give them their flowers. I don't care if it's 1 out of 5 finals that they win, 1 out of 7 finals that they win. To get that monkey off of their back in such a short span is not an easy thing to do. Credit to Steve Cherundolo, credit to the LAFC organization, these players. And listen, I don't know about you. I'm a former winner of this tournament. It's near and dear to my heart. I know it is as well for you.
Yeah.
To see World Cup winners, to see the city of Los Angeles, that fan base, take it as seriously as they did when it would have been so easy to continue the trend of MLS not taking this seriously, of not having it mean something. To see that is pretty cool. So you've got to give them their flowers for getting the win. And shout out to Omar Campos, who gets what I think has been a great final for him. And I'm very surprised it's not made more waves down south, especially with the way the talent pool, or the pool is lacking talent in Mexico.
Especially at outside back.
To not hear anything of the sort in Mexico, and probably don't have the platform there, they didn't subscribe yet, but to not hear anything of the sort is shocking to me.
It goes to what Hector Herrera's been saying for a while. Mexican players in MLS are not really counted the same way. As far as this game goes, there's a value here beyond just the cup for the guys. Obviously, it's very important to the players. You could see what it meant to all the players, not just Giroud and Lloris. But I think there's a value to LAFC moving forward because, as you said, the slide was real. Yeah. They are now 9 points, even with this victory, which obviously doesn't count in the table, but they're 9 points back of the Galaxy. I think they're only like 5 or 6 points from being out of the playoffs. So they're closer to being out of the playoffs than they are to the top of the Western Conference. And this is a team with, for my money, still the best roster in the Western Conference. Yeah. And that a month or two ago was right there at the top of the table. So you get the sense that not only they needed this, but I think probably Steve Cherundolo needed it, didn't he? Not necessarily in the sense of a guy who's going to lose his job, but a guy who needed something for his team to hang on to going into a pursuit of MLS Cup, that if he doesn't get that and hadn't gotten this, now you're looking at, a bunch of failures kind of racking up one after another at a place like LAFC where you can't have that.
Forget the team needing this confidence. The players needed the confidence in Steve Cherundolo. At some point you need to...
Really?
Yeah,
Even
absolutely.
when a guy's taking you to an MLS Cup, you can lose it just like that?
Yeah, but there have been moments through Steve Cherundolo's course where maybe the players could doubt. When you move tactically, you switch from a back line of 5 to a 4, and what can that do to you? Who you put in the midfield, and how can that, change the complexion of a team? Who you decide to put up top, because Kai Kamara is scoring goals, and he continues to score goals, but you're forced to play Oliver Giroud, and almost deservedly so because of who he is and what he can do for you, and he proved it in this final, scoring a goal. But you make certain movements that can be questioned from within. Right or wrong, they can and will be questioned. So you need to make those movements pay off. And Steve Cherundolo has. We can sit here, we can criticize, and I have criticized the mentality and the heart of this team. I've been very, very hard on them because of the talent level. But when trophies are on the line, it doesn't matter how you play, it matters if you win. And they won this. And this Open Cup, by the way, can be a catalyst for bigger and better, because you've said it before. The roster's there. It's one of the most talented rosters in Major League Soccer and one of the most talented rosters in North America. So there's no reason we should be doubting this team when it comes to crunch time. Here we are asking if this can maybe be a catalyst for them going forward.
So that's one side of the U.S. Open Cup final, of course, is the LAFC, winning it by a final score of 3-1. The other side is Sporting Kansas City, who missed out on what would have been their 5th ever U.S. Open Cup title, and now kind of shifts the pressure over to Peter Vermees. Look, a U.S. Open Cup run is nice. I think there's something taken off of that, given the fact that this year there's only 8 MLS teams in the Open Cup, so it's not as much of an achievement as it might have been in years before. But at the end of the day, this is a loss in a final for a coach and a team that have struggled for a while. Do you think this loss and the missed opportunity might cost Peter Vermees down the road?
No, I don't. And I guess this depends on what side of the boat you're on. And now if I'm looking at this from a just very far removed angle, Sporting Kansas City has presumed to be a super club, has presumed to try to attract the levels of Cristiano Ronaldo, and has had major sellout after sellout for I don't know how much time in that market. And Peter Vermees has been at the helm of all that. He's one of the guys, one of the singular figures that has changed the complexion of this franchise, not with just a rebrand, but of who they were, because I was there when they played at Community American Ballpark. I was there when they were the Wiz.
Took over in 2009. I mean, it's crazy.
And who they are now. I was there that year. I was there that year. Thanks for letting me go, Peter Vermees. Changed my life forever, and I will ever be grateful to you. So you have that side of the fence, and now you're asking me if he should be in trouble for losing a final. Did we forget where this team was recently? The fact that they're making it to a final, I think in the eyes of that ownership gives them something to hang on to with Peter Vermees.
If you were the owners, would it give you enough to hang on to?
If I was the owner, Peter Vermees would have been gone a long time ago. I demand more out of my franchise. I want to repay the faith of the fan base that continues to sell out when they have sold out that venue, that continues to buy the merchandise, and that continues to believe in the extensions of players like Alan Pulido. I want to reward that fan base and let them know that we are serious as well. At some point, and this happens to every team with a coach that is legendary in your market. I don't care what side of the fence you're on. We just saw this with Tigres and Ricardo Ferretti, El Tuca Ferretti. Tigres is a storied franchise, and what they've done in the last 10 years, most clubs could only dream of in their history,
but
honestly.
At some point it goes stale. The message doesn't resonate with players. And if you're ownership, it's gut check time. And the thing here is, I don't think they have it in them. Yeah. So it has come up, right? We've talked about this on the show before. It's something that the owners have had to answer for, not just last year, but this year. They've said publicly they're not going to fire him. That doesn't always mean that you're not going to fire a guy. But if I'm looking at this, it's not just this year. And I think that's the important thing to say about what's happening with Peter Vermees and Sporting Kansas City. This is kind of like almost a 3-year stretch at this point. They made the playoffs last year, but they made the playoffs basically on a late season run in the back door. They missed the playoffs the year before that. They're going to miss the playoffs this year. They've won 8 out of 31 games.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not a good team. And unlike last year, they don't have the excuses of injuries. This year, I don't think they have the same level of injuries, the same level of loss to the roster.
Listen,
and if you're an owner of a team like this, like, of course you want to honor everything that Peter Vermes has done in his career and everything, but at some point you do have to put the organization first.
I believe so. But if you're Peter Vermes, you could also say, like, well, look, I just made it to a cup final with what we have.
Again,
look at the
cup
talent
final
we
with
have
8 other
here.
MLS teams,
if you think,
half the USL.
And this is with all due respect, if you think a Johnny Russ or Alan Pulido are going to be those two that lead the front line, they're going to give you 30 goals between the two and maybe 15, 20 assists between the two, I think that's asking a lot out of players who are in their latter years and who have been injury-ridden for quite some time. So if you're Peter Vermes, you got that to kind of, hang on to. But the reality is, with Peter Vermes, the best years of this franchise are very far removed. And you could only hope he reignites a once great franchise that was great not too long ago. But it's not looking that way.
Would have been nice to add an Open Cup trophy to their cabinet. Haven't won anything since 2017. The last trophy was the U.S. Open Cup that they won 8 years ago. Speaking of the Open Cup, one of the winners from last night, Kai Kamara, had some very interesting things to say, not just about the tournament, but about its future. Let's listen in.
Don was here. I saw him. He was on the podium. He gave me a medal. So let's get him in here and make sure that he don't take MLS away from this. Is that what he's doing? Oh, but why are you asking me that then? No, Don better not take this away. Like, this is amazing. This is American soccer right here. Listen, last I'll say, we go through the systems of everything that's happened. They told us to go to school, play soccer in school, and go to college and play soccer in college and get drafted and go through the system. And that's what we've done. That's why I give so much credit to Chris Wondolowski, because we've done the same things. And that's the American dream that we wanted to do. And we made it here. So you can't take away from our history, and that's just my opinion. Don't take away from our history. That's our history. A lot of teams in the second division or whatever, third or amateur are looking forward to the U.S. Open Cup. Or we can rename it. That's fine. But I don't even think Lamar Hunt's going to be happy about that, wherever he's at. So, yeah, please don't take it away.
Kai Kamara standing up for the Open Cup right there. What do you think of what he said?
He's right. And Kai Kamara is one of the best ambassadors you can have. Literally played in every level in U.S. soccer. D3 player that's made his way.
Sporting Kansas City legend.
Sporting Kansas City legend. Yeah, absolutely. And to see how far he's come, one of the all-time leading goal scorers in Major League Soccer. He's a guy who's bled the sport in this country for decades, asking you to please don't kill the Open Cup. Please don't kill the history we have here. And I thought it was a stroke of brilliance from the people of the Open Cup to remind Don Garber and everybody who questions what this can be, in the biggest market that you have, Los Angeles, because New York's proven to not be a great market for Major League Soccer, the biggest market you have in Los Angeles, you're going to say, let's celebrate our history. They brought out members of the LA Kicks before this game. Remind them this tournament has history. Your league is looking for history. Your league doesn't have it. We have it. Kai Kamara is reminding not only Don Garber, but everybody else, don't kill our history. It's important to the players. I don't know how many times you hear from players say they like the Open Cup, they want to continue the Open Cup, and it saddens me that when you look around, more people aren't speaking up. And it's one thing for us to speak up, but you have to take action. How many Open Cup games do you actually watch? How many Open Cup games do you actually attend? It's very easy to criticize. It's very easy to get behind your keyboard. And here you go. Let me send a tweet how terrible Don Garber is. Don Garber is not the reason the Open Cup is dying. You not going is the reason the Open Cup is dying. You not believing in it. And yes, feel like I'm calling you out, because if you've not supported it, but you like to complain about it, I am talking about you. So while people like to hang on Don Garber and who he is and who he isn't, Don Garber is a shield for these owners. The reality is these owners don't want to pay the money to run these games. They think it's a waste of time. Remind them that it's not.
Overall, if we think about kind of year one in this post-all MLS era, where we only had 8 MLS teams, what do you feel like the impact was on the tournament? Because I think one of the big things that we were told this was going to accomplish was, well, there's fixture congestion. I feel like MLS teams are playing 1 million games as it is. I don't feel like that's
You created
really
your own
solved.
fixture congestion, right?
Yeah, and
you created the Leagues Cup.
Well, yeah, and then I think the other argument was, well, this is kind of a flashpoint that'll make the tournament better, right? This will bring a lot of eyeballs to it. People will care. I think initially there were some eyeballs. There were some people paying attention, mostly probably the people that pay attention anyway. But when you really drill down on it, the tournament was not better for not having all of MLS. You only had 8 MLS teams there. It cheapens the tournament. And I think, frankly, it's a league that we cover and a league we have a lot of love for. USL, what a missed opportunity. Indy 11, the only team that makes a run to the semifinals. Like, there could have been something special to come out of this mess. It didn't come out. And so what we're left is kind of an Open Cup that's even more watered down than it should be. I can't tell you how disappointing it is to see it all end this way. And it's funny that he mentioned Don Garber there, because when we think of Don Garber, we do think of him as the commissioner of MLS. But it's always important to point out he's also on the board of directors of U.S. Soccer. And so when we remember how this all panned out, that U.S. Soccer was blindsided by this. MLS wasn't blindsided by this. Don Garber wasn't blindsided by this. They knew it. They chose not to tell U.S. Soccer until they blindsided. That happened from the inside. That happened from somebody on the board of directors. And that makes me really, really question what's happening at U.S. Soccer sometimes. I know we had JT Batson on the other day, and it was a great conversation, but there are a lot of questions beyond what they've done with the national team coaching that need to be answered. And now that you've nailed those 2 selections, and they have, you got to turn your attention to this. This is something that the U.S. Soccer Federation can fix. Maybe it's not all on Don Garber, but when you think of what U.S. Soccer was talking about, when we had Batson on the other day, what did he say, JT Batson? He said we have all this financial success that we've had in recent years because we've left this marketing agreement that we were only with one person, the Soccer United marketing deal. Now that's off the table. Now you've got these 2 coaches. Now you've got all this money and all this leeway. Put it to the Open Cup. Save this competition. Surely somebody has to do it. And what we saw right there, the players are calling for it. And we don't really usually hear from the players in that way, do we?
No, we don't. And if you are looking for evidence of that, I encourage you to look at the Players Association and any communication that they may or may not have put out regarding the Open Cup, and you're going to find there's very little. So that's disheartening. And it's disheartening for the lower leagues, USL and beyond the amateur leagues, because this may be good for MLS in general, because they're saying, well, our owners don't have to spend the money.
Yeah, and our next pro guys get
a run. But certainly if you're a USL team, like the great Sacramento teams, like the San Antonio teams, like Indy 11, or even a team that's trying to grow, having a Major League Soccer team in your market can do wonders for said market, for ticket sales, merchandising, for the next generation, inspiring them. Not having those teams come visit, not having those teams be available, it does a lot of damage to you.
Yeah. Let's hope for a better future for the U.S. Open Cup, one that involves all of Major League Soccer's teams participating in the tournament.